Final Word Cricket Podcast, Adam Collins and Jeff Lemon. This, if you're wondering, is season 14, episode 21. If you add all the daily shows in there, we have made a lot of podcasts of late.
Over 700. Can't tell you exactly how many, but also the seasons thing is confusing because we never added seasons for the dailies because they're kind of different. So, I don't know. It's all over the shop.
We're somewhere between, say, Warren and Murali.
Yeah.
In terms of episodes
I reckon
recorded.
we passed one. I reckon we're past 720.
We're on the charge to Murali. Maybe, well, as we did with patrons, patreon.com/the final word. We always wanted to stay ahead of James Anderson, and I think we've done a broadly okay job of that.
He snuck back in the lead. We were ahead of him for a while, but now he's up to 680 and we're at about 670. So we're not far off.
If you like the fact
he's
that
not streaming away from us.
No, he's not. If you like the fact that we're able to keep making all these programs, all of these episodes, daily shows, weekend shows, history shows, interview programs, the extra work that we don't now do, I think that's an important part of this too. I don't have the time to write anymore really in the newspaper daily on an Ashes series because we're doing this. Jeff, you had to forego a lot of your other work for this as well, and we wouldn't change a thing, but it's all there because of Patreon. Patreon.com/the final word. Join our community, get there on Discord, come to our live event, be at the pub nights, have all the fun that you can possibly have as part of our cohort, the nicest corner of the internet.
The World Cup qualifiers is not quite over yet. There's a little bit left to go, and there's probably one more twist. There might be two more twists in the tail. We talked about the Irish team bombing out, which we're pretty sad about. We liked that team. Had quite a few Irish interviews on the show over the previous few weeks. But there are so many teams in the qualifiers who you want to go through. It's like it's like a favourite child situation. Every time somebody gets knocked out or someone loses to somebody, you're sad about it in one way and happy for the other team.
Yeah. Sure, and Ireland are no longer the hunters in a tournament like this. They are kind of more the hunted because they really, really and truly should have been automatic qualifiers for the World Cup this time around for reasons that we spoke about with Andy Balbirnie probably 6 or 8 weeks ago when they were in England playing a bilateral series against Bangladesh. You know, with a snifter or a luck and with had they been better at games where they should have won earlier in the round robin, they'd be there already, and they wouldn't be in the situation where they're going to miss another World Cup. And of course it shouldn't be 10 teams. This is the last edition of that, but there's no guarantee they'll get there in 14 teams either next time, by the way, because the next tier down, because of the World Cup Super League in concert with the tier 2 of that, which had, I think it was 8 teams playing 26 one-day internationals over the last 3 years. There is more depth building. The tragedy in all of this, from a cricketing perspective, is that there'll be fewer one-days between these nations in the next 4 years because of the increased tournament back to 14. Work that out.
Yeah, exactly. It's an artificial scarcity situation on every count. So they did a 2 pools thing into a Super 6 situation. Cricket loves the Super 6s. Sri Lanka, West Indies, Zimbabwe, Scotland, Netherlands, Oman made the Super 6. So Oman are out already. They've lost 4. They've got 1 to go. They're gone. West Indies are out. They've lost 3. So there's no way they can qualify from here.
Which is desperately sad, but
didn't feel surprising.
Thoroughly inevitable.
Yeah.
I mean, as Dan Breddy put to me yesterday, the Windies are like the Uruguay of cricket now, having won the World Cup twice early on, now missing out on qualification as Uruguay have from time to time. It's another sad chapter. I saw the Caribbean podcast fellas saying, the RIP, end of West Indies cricket, 1928 to 2023, 95 years done. Don't think it's quite that, I don't want to second guess them. I'm sure that's not the end of West Indies cricket. There'll be in Australia playing Test cricket later this year or early next year, for example. But it is a pretty grim nadir.
For what it's worth, they'll be there playing 2 Test matches. Yeah. But after what we saw last summer, it's not a hugely enticing proposition. It is sad, and even Uruguay still compete. They still make some of the World Cups. They don't make all of them, but who is the Luis Suarez of West Indies cricket? Who's going to get the chompers?
Who's going to take a bite out of you?
Who's going to take maybe Hetmeyer with his I couldn't get to the World Cup because the bridge was down story, and they're like, you're 70 minutes from the bridge, and it closes in 5 minutes.
He was a villain with the intentional handball as well, wasn't he? When
Suarez,
that's right,
against Ghana.
Ghana, was it?
Yeah. It was
2010.
It was Gyan. It was Asamoah Gyan, I reckon, from memory, who takes the shot in the box and Suarez punches it away. They get awarded a penalty, Ghana, and he misses the penalty under pressure. I mean, it's You know, it's great tactical awareness. He's like, well, we can 100% concede a goal, or I can punch it away. We get a player sent off. We've got 4 minutes to play, and we then will 90% concede a goal.
I know very little
and the 10%
about,
fell their way.
I know very little about rugby league, but I remember the penalty try that won the Melbourne Storm the grand final in 1999, where they didn't have to do anything further. The penalty was egregious enough that they were awarded the 4 points. Maybe the same thing should happen in association football.
Yeah.
This is not a football podcast.
No.
This is not a Sliders recap podcast. It's a cricket podcast.
And people will be saying, well, if you like the Alex Carey run out, then no wonder you like the Luis Suarez punch it out of the goal red card situation. Look, it was ultimate shithousery. That was. It really was. I still don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, this is not the point. The point is not who is the Diego Forlan of West Indies cricket, but they're out. They're gone. So
how does it work with the spirit of cricket that I was one of those that went to the Uruguay team hotel before the 2005 match at the Olympic Stadium and was screaming. No, we went out the front, among other things, and was screaming at the front because remember they didn't they do something horrible to the Socceroos when they were in Uruguay, and the retaliation was making lots
keep
of
them
noise
awake all night, pulled up with speakers and played music
something
all night
like that. We walked past it through. I also ended up appearing on Hot Dogs Late Night Games that night. It was a big night. Remember Hot Dogs Late Night Games?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Some people will.
Okay.
Some people will remember.
It's a reference for the true believers. Right. Qualifiers. So look, Sri Lanka are through. They've won 4 out of 4. They will be at the World Cup. And that leaves us with 1 spot available, and it leaves us with Zimbabwe, Scotland, and the Netherlands. Now, let's start with the incredible, ridiculous Dutch win over the West Indies.
Yeah.
This is one of the most bonkers things that you can possibly come up with in your life, I imagine. Now, bear in mind, this is like the second Dutch team, right? Because half their
8 of
their best players are they're all in the blast, right?
That's right. So 8 of their players are unavailable because their counties quite reasonably won't release them. I say quite reasonably. I'm sure it's more complicated than the way I'm putting it, but their full-time jobs are as county professionals, and there's no way with the relative purchasing power, if you like, from an associate nation like Holland, that they can command their attendance for 7 weeks or whatever it is in the middle of a major part of the England season with the T20 blast on.
Right. So West Indies against the Dutch make 374 batting first.
Wow.
And that should be it.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. You're playing the Dutch and they've got none of their best players.
Yeah.
Well, okay, obviously you're going to win that game. Well, they didn't lose it. They didn't win it. They tied it. The Dutch make 374 in reply. I mean, which in itself is ridiculous. Like, we've seen some pretty big scores during these World Cup qualifiers. But yeah, Nicholas Purin made 100 in the first innings, and then they just absolutely go wild, the Dutch. And my favourite bit, I think, is Max O'Dowd at the top of the order makes 36 off 36. Like, just classic Max O'Dowd. Yeah. I'll just knock it around. We're chasing 374. Teja Nidamanuru makes 111 off 66 balls, coming in, batting down at 5. Scott Edwards, the keeper, makes 67 off 47. And right at the end, Logan van Beek. You'll remember this name. We've talked about him before. Born in New Zealand, Seamer, Dutch heritage, ends up playing for the Netherlands. He makes 28 off 14 in a cameo that suggests something to come. 374 for 9 as well. So they're almost bowled out. They get scores level, and then Van Beek is dismissed off the last ball of the match for his 28 for a tie. So they're like, well, he did pretty well just then. Let's give him another shot. And they pop him back in for the super over. Now, bear in mind, he's batting at 9 in this 11, which isn't necessarily their best 11. So they're like, yeah, let's send the number 9 back in for the super over to bat. And he goes 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 in the super over.
Beat him in straight sets. 6-4, 6-4, 6-4.
Off Jason Holder. It wasn't quite in that order, but 3 6s and 3 4s.
It'd be better if it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's
no tiebreaker required.
It's 4-6, 4-6, 6-4 in the end.
Okay.
So that sounds like he lost the tennis.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have played the third set if that were the case. But
we're going to a fourth.
Maybe
we're going to a super over.
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't. Well,
we're going to a battery car back.
32 runs off Jason Holder's over.
Wow.
And then
not the first time he's gone the journey.
No,
in the final over
AB de
Villiers
twice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's gone for 30 plus off and over quite a few times. And then they're like, okay, Logan van Beek, you're running hot. Take the ball.
You're as hot as James van der Beek.
Yeah.
Not so hot these days.
He was
Dawson
like 36 when he was playing Dawson, who was supposed to be 15.
He's 46 now. Do you know why I know that? I Googled him while you were talking.
Okay, good. Yeah, he's got James Van Der Beek. I remember he had wrinkles on his wrinkles on that forehead. He could have just stuck credit cards in the creases to carry them around. It would have been like a porcupine. It was incredible. So he's bowling the super over. He goes for a 6 first ball. West Indies are like, okay, maybe they're in it. And then 2 singles, wicket. It's all over. You can't lose more than 2 wickets in the super over anymore.
So he's bowled them out.
So he bowls them out in the super over after making 32 in his own super over. It has got to be the greatest super over performance of all time.
Yeah.
I saw it.
And was that the game that eliminated the Windies as well?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So they're well, and then a couple of other results after that. So basically, from that point, they're not going to make it. So they've lost in the super over. They then... Well, the one that really seals it is that they lose to Scotland. After that, they're shell-shocked, really. Okay. They only make 180-odd, and Scotland chase it like professionally and easy, a couple of wickets down. Like Scotland just breeze past them, really. So, or sturdily walk past them in Scottish style. So, Zimbabwe's in second place. They've won 3 out of 4. They'll play Scotland tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday, so they'll play Scotland Tuesday in the real world time. So probably around the time or after people are listening to this episode. So if Zimbabwe beats Scotland, Zimbabwe will go through. Straightforward. If Scotland win, then they will remain in the running, as will the Netherlands, because Scotland then have to play the Netherlands. So then the winner of that would go through.
Would be just gigantic.
Depending on their run rate, which I haven't worked out. But
there's the tantalising prospect of Scotland against the Netherlands for a World Cup spot.
Yes.
That's
if
Uruguay,
Scotland
that's Uruguay, Australia, 2005, all over again.
If Scotland
Johnny Warren!
If Scotland can beat Zimbabwe tomorrow, and Zimbabwe have been running hot, so they should win. But also, I mean, they lost at the last gasp to miss out on the last World Cup, and they could do it again. You never know. Yeah. Zimbabwe home ground. You know, they should be able to do it, but if they don't, it's
if
still
the Scots
open.
get up, it'll make our trip to Scotland on the final word even more exciting in August. Let me say that much. 21st to the 24th. We've all booked our train tickets. If you want to be part of it, we're playing cricket games on the 22nd and the 23rd with the Lord's Tabs. Thought I'd throw it in there.
Very nice. I like it. Yeah. So at the moment, you've got Scotland and the Dutch on 4 points each, and you've got Zimbabwe on 6, which would mean if Zimbabwe stay on 6 by losing, and then Scotland or the Dutch could get up to 6, and they'd also need a net run rate that would, because I don't have that in front of me, so I don't know who's ahead on NRR. But anyway, it's in theory, all of these things are possible. In theory, I
think out of all of that, I feel bad saying this, but the best result for world cricket, Zimbabwe getting through, isn't it?
Yeah, because they've been so good, because they've like really surged through these qualifiers.
Yeah,
and if they hit the ground running in the World Cup, like maybe they can make a dent.
Maybe they can win a couple of unexpected games. I mean, speaking of the World Cup at large, the schedule came out this week. Yep. With just a few months to go. The BCCI deigned to tell us when the games would be.
With 3 months and about 2 weeks to go. Thank you, guys. They sent the World Cup trophy to space. They sent it to space. Did you see this?
Yeah,
they put it on a fucking space shuttle before they had released the schedule. They're like, no. Space.
I'm going to suggest we be a bit careful here. We both need visas to get into India, and we both need accreditation for this tournament. So let's keep a straight bat through this segment. So, what do we know? The schedule's out, and there are a
lot of excuses about why it took so long. But this is exactly the same thing that happened in 2016 when they last had a tournament, when they had the T20 World Cup. They released it again about 3 months ahead of time from memory.
Adds so much complexity for people wanting to go there from even
people
if you
won't be able to go there. Well, particularly if you wanted to travel there, who's going to be able to get time off work with such a short lead time and then try to book things which will be astronomically priced because it's all last minute?
So 10 venues all up. No Mahali. That's a shame for the Mahali 4, who we've always had a strong affinity with from our White Line Wireless days all the way through. What do we have? The Shane Watson Gates. The James Pattinson. Anyway, we did name them back in the day, different parts of the ground after the Mahali 4.
Yeah, there was maybe a walkway. Did anyone have a waiting area? Hello, Trent Bridge. I hope so. The Usman Khawaja waiting area.
So presumably we'll get to Dharamshala, Lucknow, Pune.
Well, they're the kind of lower tier grounds who've got into the big company, I guess, outside the usual big ones.
And Ahmedabad hosts the big stuff, including the opener between England and New Zealand, and Australia, England, and Pakistan, India, and the final. So Ahmedabad gets all the big stuff, as you'd expect. That's the
big boy stadium.
Well, that's where power lies now, isn't it? So Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad.
Chennai's got the big lad's name on the tin.
Yeah. Chennai's got the first game that Australia play against India. I think that's on the 8th.
It's on the 8th
8th of October, Hyderabad, Kolkata, and Mumbai. So hopefully we don't have to go to Delhi, not because I didn't enjoy it there, because I got very ill last time. I've never seen cricket at Mumbai. I've been through Mumbai, but
I think we probably do. So Australia plays in 8 cities.
Okay.
They play one game in Delhi, which is just before the Dharamshala game.
Right.
India plays in 9 cities. Australia and England play in 8 each.
Sure. So they're
There's a
spreading
lot
the
of
wealth around a
travel.
little bit there.
Yeah.
I did take interest in seeing the end of Australia's schedule. So they play England on the 4th of November, their third last game.
Remember.
The 4th of November.
The 17th of December.
They're remember the 17th of December.
You fucked her on the 17th of December.
The 7th of November, remember the 7th of November, Australia is scheduled to play Afghanistan at Mumbai. That's the penultimate fixture. It is possible after the England game, they'll have sewed up their semi-final berth. In turn, Australia could boycott that on moral grounds
without needing
the points. So keep an eye on that. Cricket Australia are duty-bound to miss that World Cup game. For all the reasons we stated in our previous Afghanistan episode,
if their position is consistent, then they have to miss that.
They have to, because their decision to jettison the Afghanistan matches post-dates the last World Cup in Australia, where they did play them, but they took a firmer stance after that. So that's one to keep an eye on. And Bangladesh in the final game. So Tigerland to finish. I'm not sure where they're playing, but we'll be. I suspect Jeff will end up. If my gut feel is we'll end up in India for a couple of weeks towards the end. We'll certainly be making daily shows.
Well, trying to plan that much travel, and we're in the middle of an Ashes series, and everything's $1 million already. I don't know how any of that is supposed to work. It's basically we've always made things work, but this is a degree of difficulty that may be beyond us to do.
I can see a world where we end up at Ahmedabad for Australia, England on the 4th. And that might be our entry point, and we stay through until the final on the 19th of November, whenever it is. So.
Australia, Bangladesh in Pune.
Okay. Ahmedabad followed by Pune, they're close to one another. And it would be a flight to Kolkata.
And the alleged Australia-Afghanistan game is in Mumbai.
Well, that's okay. Ahmedabad, Mumbai, that's fine. We can make that work. So, anyway, enough logistics. Enough of
live logistics.
Enough of an insight into what Jeff and I do in our private time, which
Australia,
is
New Zealand in
Skyscanner.
That could be
Skyscanner should really sponsor the podcast. That's what I think.
Okay.
But they don't.
I'm a Google Flights man myself.
Also, the Wise foreign currency platform should also probably sponsor us, given we keep them in business. Okay, I think that is the end of the final word, episode 14.
Could be.
Sorry, episode 21 of season 14. If you've enjoyed the show, and if our conversation around logistics at the end has given you
if that
pause,
doesn't get you enthused, nothing else will.
or maybe it'll give
But
you.
if you'd like to help give us a push to get to the World
That's
Cup.
kind of where I was going to go with this. Patreon.com/the final word. Jeff will be with me for another month or so before we break for I wouldn't say too much time apart, but I'll take a week or two off. Jeff will take a week or two off after the Ashes. But we're going to keep making the shows for We Can't Stop and We Won't Stop. Next stop for us is, I'm playing cricket in Lincolnshire tomorrow.
Yep.
For the authors, then I will join you after you've been to the...
I'm playing shuffleboard at
You're playing
Westfield,
shuffleboard.
London.
You are playing shuffleboard tomorrow night at Westfield, London. That's true. More extra, less ordinary. That's a little spare plug for them.
There we go.
And then
You like spare plugs. You're always bringing like a bag full of spare
that came up in
connections.
the fucking wedding speech, didn't it?
Oh,
Rachel's wedding speech included my desire to one day start a business called Fully Charged, where nobody has their phone.
To have all appliances charged to 100%. What if we can get to a point of sort of gyroscopes or solar power or something where you don't need to... Like, I had a solar power calculator when I was like 8.
Yeah, I had one of them.
We have solar-powered phones yet?
Remember Beyond 2000? It gave this distinct impression by the year 2000, that television program in the early 90s, that solar power would serve all our interests.
Yeah, why would you need to charge? You just pop your phone in the sun and away you go.
Like the whacker.
Yeah, no, you pop your phone in the sun and
you
it
go,
cooks.
you go in the sun and you go in the freezer in alternate hours or something.
Fried to death. Yeah, there was a little bit of reminiscing about 2013. During the last week at Lord's, a few people who were there when we were in the big wedding marquee and it was 44 degrees because they were renovating the grandstand and you couldn't go inside.
Also nice to do some reminiscing earlier with Yaz Rana, who was part of our 2018 adventure. Andrew Don O'Donnison was also with us this week in London. We love you, Dono. I know he's back in Australia now, but we'll hopefully see you soon, and we're going to miss you over the next month or so.
Our producer from that series and problem solver, who did a lot of cultural negotiating, a lot of working out where electronic shops were in Dubai and how to try to obtain whatever equipment we needed. It was a different time back then.
It was. Great man. Yes, all out. Positive energy to you, Donny boy. This has been the final word, as I said. Season 14, episode 21. We love yous all. We'll talk again soon.
See ya.